Naruto is a story about overcoming the circumstances of your birth. A story about how a person with enough hard work and goodwill can achieve anything they want in this world. It doesn't matter who your parents are, what abilities you're born, or where you're born. If you take the world head on with a hard work demeanor and a smile, there is nothing you cannot accomplish. At least, that's what Naruto used to be about. You see, in the early days of Naruto was an orphan, shunned by his village. A child shut out by society because of the monster sealed inside of him. A child who took on the brunt of a village's hate and met it with a smile and a resolute dedication to lead that village one day. We saw Naruto take on the likes of people like Neji, people who believe that you can only achieve as high as your birthplace will allow you. And yet Naruto, an orphan of no renown or high birth, was able to beat this genius of the Byakugan in Neji, showing us that hard work and dedication truly do pay off. But as time progressed, Naruto lost that side of its story. Naruto was no longer a scraggly orphan, he was the son of two of the most powerful people on Earth. He had the most powerful of all of the tailed beasts inside of him. And to top it all off, he was the reincarnation of a literal God. But just because Naruto himself was no longer symbolic of his show's grander theme, that doesn't mean that nobody was symbolic of the show's grander theme. In fact, there is one man who symbolizes this theme more than anybody in the entirety of the show, and that man would be Might Guy. Might Guy is as iconic as anime characters get. Widely beloved and widely renowned as one of the strongest people in the entirety of Naruto. But as a ninja, he's had to fight for every ounce of strength he has ever acquired. Nothing was handed to him, nothing was given to him, and he never asked for either of those things. And while Might Guy as a character is widely beloved, his importance and symbology within the show is greatly misunderstood, which is why today we're doing You Know Nothing about Might Guy. Before we get into all that, guys, please, for me, like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. And if you guys love hearing me talk about anime, you are going to adore my other page, The Weeb Commander, where instead of talking Naruto, I talk shows like Bleach and One Piece and Fire Force and Avatar: The Last Airbender. Basically, if it's not about a little orphan boy with a demon fox inside of him, I'm talking about it. So, Might Guy. Some might see him as a gag character. A character not to be taken seriously because all he ever talks about is youth in the springtime of it. However, if you're to look up to one character within Naruto as a real-life example of what a human should be like, it should be Might Guy. His entire life, he's worked diligently for everything he's ever achieved. He's never taken a shortcut, he's never taken the easy way out, and he's always had a clear goal in mind. But how did all of this start? Where did Might Guy learn his conviction from? How did he train? What did he accomplish with this power? And more than anything, where does he fit into the grander scheme of Naruto as a whole? What does he truly represent? Well, let's start this video like we usually start these videos. At the beginning, Might Guy was the son of Might Dai, and Might Guy's story couldn't have started without his father. You see, Might Dai was known as the Eternal Genin around Konoha. You see, Might Dai, just like Rock Lee, couldn't really do ninjutsu or genjutsu. He had to rely entirely on his taijutsu, and because of his lacking in these areas, he was never able to become a chunin. So even when Might Dai was old enough to have a son like Might Guy, he was still a genin. As to how this happened, I'm not entirely sure, because obviously both Rock Lee and Might Guy were able to become chunin without the use of ninjutsu or genjutsu. And Might Dai, based off the feats that we saw at the end of his life, was nothing to scoff at in terms of power. However, it's a possibility that the earliest iterations of the chunin exam required you to display ninjutsu and genjutsu prowess. Because if you'll remember, the chunin exam was created to keep children who weren't ready for war away from war, and those who wouldn't be able to use ninjutsu or genjutsu may not be considered good enough to go to the front lines to battle. And it's actually a possibility that Might Dai was responsible for the changing of this chunin exam format. But we're not quite there yet. Let's keep talking about Might Dai's early days. See, Might Dai being known around the village as the Eternal Genin wasn't a compliment. In fact, it was an insult. But Might Dai never took it that way. See, Might Dai wasn't stupid. He fully understands that when people called him the Eternal Genin, they were making fun of him. However, he never took it personally. In fact, he kind of looked at it like a compliment. You see, Might Dai understood that a lot of people in Konoha knew him because of his Eternal Genin status. And thus he preached to Might Guy, who was around a lot of the time when Might Dai was being called the Eternal Genin, that he didn't find this moniker to be an insult. In fact, it was an honor that so many people knew him. And Might Dai tried to drill this optimistic attitude into Might Guy, to see inconveniences as nothing more than a bump in your path. It doesn't matter what's happening in the outside world or what anybody else thinks of you. And outside of the optimism, he also preached to Might Guy that youth is a mindset. The eternal springtime of youth basically speaks on the fact that if you believe you are young and you keep your body in shape and your mind in shape, you will feel the springtime of youth your entire life. Complacency and giving up is what leads to aging. But those who stay young in the mind stay young in the heart. And through the power of this youthful thinking, both Might Dai and Might Dai could become taijutsu masters. But Might Guy, while he was young, didn't necessarily believe in the words of his father. He wrote them off as the rambling of a kooky dad. But it doesn't mean he didn't love his father. And in fact, anytime anybody would call his father the Eternal Genin in Might Guy's presence, he would try to fight them. However, these fights didn't always go Might Guy's way. In fact, one of these fights landed Might Guy in the hospital. But Might Dai wasn't upset that Might Guy had been fighting or even that he lost. In fact, he told Might Guy to not focus on this loss, and the fact that he was fighting to defend those he loved made it a win from the start, because true victory is in the heart. Win, loss, or draw, if you fought your best and fought for something you believed in, you were victorious. Most people never get the chance to fight for the things they love. Emboldened by his father's view of the world, Might Guy tried to join the Ninja Academy. However, on his first attempt to join the academy, he failed. To which Kakashi scoffed at, saying that of course he would, considering the fact he has no talent in ninjutsu or genjutsu. But Might Guy didn't take offense to this. In fact, he took it as a compliment, a constructive criticism. Fire for the flame of dedication to get stronger. And Sakamo Hatake, who was there with Kakashi on the day of this entrance exam, saw this resoluteness within Might Guy and told Kakashi that his weakness in ninjutsu and genjutsu weren't shortcomings, and that he believed that Might Guy would receive one of the alternate spots to join this year's Ninja Academy class. And Sakamo was correct. Might Guy was given one of the last positions in that year's Ninja Academy class, and he graduated side by side with Kakashi. Might Guy would then go on to join a Genin team led by Choza Akamichi, Choji's father. And this Genin squad would enter the Chunin exams the same year as Kakashi's. And Might Guy would make it so far the Chunin exam that he would get to the 1v1 stage, where unfortunately he lost to Kakashi, which led to Kakashi becoming a Chunin before Might Guy. And after these Chunin exams, Might Guy was out on a mission with Ebisu and Genma, who were the two other Genin that comprised his team. However, while on this mission, they were stopped by the Seven Swordsmen of the Mist. And not just any Seven Swordsmen of the Mist, the strongest ever generation of the Seven Swordsmen of the Mist. 7 legendary soldiers who were said to be strong enough to take down entire countries by themselves, coming up against the likes of 3 terrified Genin. However, they were saved by Might Dai. See, Might Dai, the Eternal Genin, one of the weakest people in all of Konoha at that given moment, put the entirety of his life on the line by opening the 8th gate. And by opening the 8th gate, he signed his own death certificate, but used the power and the conviction of a man willing to die for the things that he loves to kill 6 out of the 7 Swordsmen of the Mist.
In the anime, it was only 4.
It was 6. We're not taking things away from Might Dai. The only member of the 7 Swordsmen of the Mist that survived was Fuguki, the wielder of Samehada. Everybody else in the greatest generation of one of the strongest militarized groups in Naruto that day died at the hands of a Genin. And in that moment, as Might Dai's life burned like a candle covered in kerosene, he fulfilled the one rule he had preached to Might Guy's entire life. The only time you should use the 8 gates is to protect something precious to you. And that precious thing to Might Dai was his son, Might Guy. And it was in that moment that Might Guy realized his father's words weren't empty. He wasn't some kooky figure who spouted nonsense that they weren't trying to live up to. Might Guy was a hero who faced a cruel world with a smile. A man handed nothing but his own muscles in a world where people can spit fireballs and hail lightning down from the sky. And yet by dedicating himself singularly to one craft for the entirety of his life with a level of dedication yet unseen, he rised above those given more than him. And Might Guy took this lesson to heart. Might Guy looked around him and saw geniuses everywhere he looked. Obito, Kakashi, Asuma, Kurenai, each and every single one of them talented in things he himself couldn't do. And what did he decide to do in that moment? Look at the strongest one of them, Kakashi, the man who had scoffed at his inability to use ninjutsu or genjutsu, and declared him his eternal rival, a benchmark he had to pass. But this race wasn't started in the same place for both of them. Kakashi was on third, and Might Guy wasn't even in the stadium yet. But Might Guy wanted to be better than Kakashi in all facets of Kakashi's life, because the springtime of youth doesn't just apply to strength. The springtime of youth, or the mentality of youth that you live with every single day, bleeds into every possible thing you could do. Springtime of youth isn't about approaching a fight with the demeanor that you're stronger simply based off your hard work. The springtime of youth is a lesson to every single viewer. It doesn't matter if you're in a battle against Madara or in a cooking competition. If you approach something with dedication, hard work, and a good attitude, you will achieve it. And because of this, it's often misunderstood why Might Guy and Kakashi's competitions were so varied. One day it's an arm wrestling contest, the other day it's tic-tac-toe. Their competitions weren't varied for randomness sake. Their competitions were varied to display to you, the reader and or the viewer, that the springtime of youth can be applied to every facet of any life. And this is displayed when in the anime we see in the early days of these competitions between Rock Lee and Kakashi won pretty much all of them. However, as time progressed, Might Guy began to win more and more and more, until eventually when we get to part 1 of Naruto, Kakashi is only 1 point ahead, implying that Might Guy has grown greater at applying the springtime of youth to even the most minute of challenges that he undergoes with Kakashi. And honestly, I think the anime does a better job of representing Guy and Kakashi's relationship than the manga, because while the manga will usually paint Might Guy as an insane and out of bounds character, only ever dedicating to applying the springtime of youth to whatever he can find, the anime does a really good job of showing the fact that he, just like his father Might Guy, fought vigorously for the things that were precious to him. And the thing that was precious to him in his early life was Kakashi. See, everybody within Konoha understood what Kakashi had lost in the Third Great Shinobi World War. Obito, Rin, his father, and thus after Obito's death in the anime, Might Guy actually fills in for him on Kakashi's team. And after that, Kakashi, Rin, and Might Guy are sent to a mission in Iwa territory, the Hidden Stone. However, at one point during this mission, they're surrounded. And Might Guy, understanding that Kakashi's already lost enough and doesn't need to lose his own life, attempts to give his life so Kakashi and Rin can flee. However, fortunately for everybody involved, they're able to fight off these Iwa shinobi until reinforcements arrive. But even in that moment, as a young genin, Might Guy was resolute to give his life for somebody he found precious. Much in the same way that Might Guy's father had given his life for Might Guy. A true circle moment for Might Guy as we see him acknowledging what his father had lived by. But unfortunately for Kakashi, his losses wouldn't just stop with Obito, because a couple years later in the Third Great Shinobi World War, he has to kill Rin. Because of what Kakashi has been through, Minato's fearful for his mental health. And thus, when Minato sends Kakashi out on a mission, he tells Might Guy to tail him should anything go wrong in Kakashi's mental state. And that's actually exactly what happens. See, Kakashi, when he has to use his Chidori during this mission, sees it and is reminded of Rin and passes out. Well, he doesn't pass out. He begins to hyperventilate and is about to pass out until Might Guy swoops in and saves him. And it's at this moment that we get one of the cooler subliminal messages within Naruto. Might Guy has incredibly well documented and spoken about issue. His father was the Eternal Genin, the talk of Konoha. Might Guy himself cannot use ninjutsu or genjutsu well at all, and everybody knows this. But it doesn't matter how much you bring this up to Might Guy, because he'll smile at you and use that as wood for his fire. However, in this moment, we see a very interesting dichotomy. In this very moment, we see the realization from Might Guy that everybody has problems. Even those who are born geniuses and seem as though they're shut off to the world have silent struggles. And it's actually after this moment that we see a rather large and key change in Kakashi and Guy's relationship, with Guy no longer looking as Kakashi as the benchmark, but an equal. They've both experienced loss, and they both have struggles, but Kakashi's can't be fixed with push-ups. However, unfortunately, those problems would only get even bigger for Kakashi. See, on the night of Naruto's birth, and the night that Kurama attacks, Kakashi's mentor, his leader, the one person he has left in life, is taken from him. On top of that, Minato's wife, Kushina, is also taken from Kakashi when Kakashi had just been assigned to keeping her safe. And as Might Guy was with Kakashi on the night of Kurama's attack, he saw what this did to Kakashi. He saw the dark path that it sent Kakashi down. He might be the only thing on earth Kakashi has left, but they were separated. Kakashi was in the Anbu, specifically the root, while Might Guy was simply acting as a chunin within Konoha. Because of this, Might Guy wanted to get closer to Kakashi, to make sure that Kakashi knew that he wasn't alone, to make sure that Kakashi wouldn't lose the battle with his own darkness. And thus Might Guy approached the third Hokage and asked to join the Anbu, to which both the third Hokage and Danzo said no, citing that he didn't have the requisite amount of darkness required to pull off jobs necessary in the Anbu. And Guy didn't understand this necessary darkness until about 6 years after Kurama's attack, when he went on a mission with Kakashi. You see, Konoha was trying to reach a peaceful treaty with the Land of Woods, and they decided that they would meet at the border of their two countries and trade scrolls, specifically special scrolls with information. However, upon the two entities meeting, the Prajna group of the Land of Woods attacked the Konoha shinobi, only to be annihilated by Kakashi and a couple other members of the root. With no mercy, they killed every single person who mounted this attack. And it was in that moment that Might Guy understood why he was never suited for the Anbu. But in that moment, he also didn't recognize one of his oldest friends. The Kakashi he knew was cold, but kind at the same time, and wouldn't have taken this many lives without so much as a second thought. And thus, upon returning from the mission in the Land of Woods, Might Guy pled with the third Hokage to remove Kakashi from the Anbu. And while Hiruzen didn't listen initially, Might Guy pled until Hiruzen gave in. Meaning Might Guy is actually the only reason Kakashi was ever the leader of Team 7. Because after being removed from the Anbu, Hiruzen and Might Guy decided it would be best for him to take on a team of Genin to try and find his kindness again. You see, the true strength of Might Guy has never been the 8 gates or his muscles. It's been his demeanor. That's the one thing that's never changed with Might Guy. Sure, he's gotten stronger. Sure, he has different responsibilities. But loving those who are around him and protecting those he finds precious has always been a core part of his life. The only thing that's ever really changed for Might Guy is realizing that protecting those are precious can come in a lot of different ways. It doesn't always have to be sacrificing your life. It doesn't always have to be holding the line so others can escape. Sometimes it's picking up your friend who's going through a hard time, and other times it's seeing what your friend can't. Well, Might Guy is the symbol of hard work and dedication. This is why I say he's a misunderstood character, because he's so much more than that. More than anything, Might Guy symbolizes adaptability. Taking a core value that you feel and understand is a central part of who you are as a person and applying it to everything in your life. Might Guy is the symbol of being unabashedly yourself. And fortunately for all of us, that was a lesson he got to impart to the younger generation. Because when Might Guy heard about a child in the ninja academy who couldn't use ninjutsu or genjutsu but still wanted to become a ninja, he sought him out. He went to Rock Lee and told him with the springtime of youth he would achieve his goals. And eventually Rock Lee became a part of Team Guy along with Neji and Tenten. And once again, the dynamic of boy genius meets hard worker happened within Team Guy, facilitating a very similar friendship between Rock Lee and Neji as Kakashi and Might Guy had. But Might Guy took a massive interest in Rock Lee's life, seeing a lot of himself in Rock Lee, and thus he taught Rock Lee all the taijutsu he knew and extolled to him the values that his father had extolled to him. You see, while most people look at Might Guy's journey as the man who couldn't use ninjutsu or genjutsu, eventually coming toe-to-toe with Madara and basically winning. I mean, he kicked a hole in his chest, and if Madara didn't have Hashirama cells and therefore healing factor, he would have won. And therefore, Might Guy symbolizes hard work and how far it can bring you. He's so much more than that. Yes, obviously, he represents what Naruto is about more than Naruto himself. A born from nothing, forgettable person who with only an attitude and hard work was able to quite literally come toe-to-toe with the gods. He's a representation that if you live your life day to day based on a core sentimentality that never changes, that's true to who you are as a person, you're immortal. What do I mean by that? It doesn't matter if you're cut down in battle, die of old age, or die protecting those you love. If you fight every day for what you believe in and you apply it to every singular facet of your life, it doesn't matter when or how you pass away, because living your life the way it was intended teaches those around you to do the same thing. And thus those lives you've touched, you will live on through when you're gone. Even if Might Guy had died after opening the 8th gate, Kakashi would have lived on with him in his heart. And the same could be said for Rock Lee. Lives that were made better by Might Guy just teaching them what his own father had taught him. That darkness can be overcome, no matter what that darkness looks like. If your struggle is loss or weakness, depression, that's darkness. And whether your defeat of that darkness is push-ups, reaching out to somebody, or changing your headspace, it's still a battle you have to undergo. And it's a battle you have to fight every single day. So the next time you come toe to toe with darkness, tap into the eternal springtime of youth and ask, what would my guy do here? And that's it. Now you know at least something about Might Guy. If Might Guy's one of your favorite characters in Naruto, tell me why in the comments below. And while you guys are down there, please, for me, like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. Think I'm gonna go hit biceps and triceps now.